Wow, 2020. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Taryn here. Earlier this year, I made a video highlighting my 2019 and sharing some of my goals for 2020. By this point, we all know how disrespectful 2020 has been to literally all of us. Some more than others, as there are folks that are literally disproportionately affected by this entire system. But that's for a different conversation. 2020, am I right? At the start of this year, I committed to making some checkpoints with myself and sharing them with you all here on YouTube and on my blog that I just started. Link down below. We are halfway through the year, and so I thought, let's do an audit, let's do a little bit of self-reflection and see how I did with my 2020 commitments thus far. Before I update you on how I'm doing with my 5 commitments, I thought I'd really briefly go through kind of a month by month what's been going on. In February, I did what I consider my very first modeling. While it wasn't paid, it was an excellent experience and I met a lot of amazing women, and I got to be a part of the Naza Beauty campaign for their grand opening of their salon in San Francisco. And I am just so appreciative of that opportunity. It's something the old me probably would have declined to do because I would have been too scared or too nervous that I wouldn't be good at it. But it was a really fun experience and I hope to do more things like it in the future and get paid. Then came March, the month where shelter in place was announced and normal was turned on its head. It was also the start of my self-care journey, if you will, and learning how to officially take care of this hair. Well, not this hair, but the hair that grows from my head. And I finally have a wash routine, so, you know, the little things. April, I dressed up like a clown for TikTok, did a lot of cooking. Sorry these are so boring. These updates are not quite the same as the last video, but, you know, no travel to South Korea, but I dressed up like a clown and it was fun and it was cute. In May, I was able to participate in the Ground Zero Summit. Shout out to Kat for the ticket. A super eye-opening experience. I got to listen to and interact with a bunch of Black and POC entrepreneurs from across the country who legitimately started from the bottom to build successful businesses for themselves and for their clients. It also introduced me to one of my new favorite habits, 15 minutes of reading every day. Spectacular. Yes, Spectacular from Pretty Ricky advised us to read more, and since May I have been able to do that every single day. I've read 3-4 books now from just doing that, and this summit had so many more gems like that that have really just improved my life. Highlight of May, hands down. So in June I became an artist. I've always wanted to be an artist. I've always thought art was super cool, and now thanks to Procreate and my new iPad, I get to create my own. Maybe I'll share that more with y'all one day. I'll put a few of the things I've made so far up here. So to start 2020, I set myself up with 5 commitments I wanted to make a part of my regular practice in the hopes that it would support my overall well-being and growth in this new decade. So I'm just gonna run through the list of the things that I've been doing and tell y'all how successful it has or hasn't been, and hopefully in hearing about my journey so far, you pick up some things that might be useful or valuable to your life as well if you're interested in self-reflection or personal growth. The first commitment I made for 2020 was to reflect on my day regularly. I got this lovely journal from one of my students, and this is what I've been writing in every day to kind of just track my pluses and minuses for the day. When I'm talking about my pluses, I'm talking about things that bring me joy or bring me closer to my goals. So things like spending time with family and friends, that gives me good vibes. Checking off things on my to-do list, also good vibes. But on the flip side, I like to track my minuses, or the things that don't feel as good throughout the day. So some examples of minuses in my day. Sometimes I just wake up in a funky mood. There's some other external force that's causing me to feel some stress or anxiety or feel down when I first wake up in the morning. Noting any bad habits that don't serve you. Research shows that awareness in situations can help reduce stress, anxiety, and depression, and writing down these pluses and minuses has really helped me understand my sphere of control and understand what moves I need to make to be the person that I want to be. So I did a little math, crunched some numbers. I did attempt to make this an everyday ritual, and for the most part it is. But in looking through how I did from January 7th to today, which is June 25th, we are at, drum roll please, a whopping 83%. 83% is pretty darn good if you ask me. And I can definitely feel the effects of just paying attention to my physical and mental state and understanding how much power I have or don't have in my overall mood and well-being. Number 2 on my list of 2020 commitments, exercise 2 to 3 times a week. The aches and pains are real. Gymnastics did a number on my body, and I know that I need to just be constantly moving, otherwise the aches and pains will get the best of me. This commitment did not go as well as I'd hoped. In looking at my notes from my reflections, I only had like a 60% success rate with this particular goal. But silver lining, about 2 months ago now, I read this incredible book, Atomic Habits, my new fave. Shout out to Asia for introducing this book to me because, wow, highly recommended. Just read it, okay? It let me know that the goal I set was too big for me. Y'all, I'm lazy. I am a bum at heart. But I wanna note that the reason why we're at 60% and not like 40% is because I backpedaled a little bit to set a more realistic goal. So after I found this yoga YouTube channel that has 10-minute videos, I was like, dude, you have 10 minutes every day to stretch. And so that's what I started doing and committed to making that a part of my regular movement. Only now am I committing to adding on to that practice with 3 days a week of strength or cardio as well. Because I don't like the fact that I'm out of breath when I go up the stairs. Embarrassing. But I also just needed to be kind to myself and meet myself where I was at, which was 10 minutes of yoga every single day. And I mean, there are some days where I do more, right? But the minimum goal is 10 minutes, and I have 10 minutes. Number 3 on the list, bi-weekly check-ins with myself. While writing down daily reflections helps me understand where I am on a day-to-day, looking at a chunk of time for me in 2-week bunches felt like the easiest way to assess my progress in small increments. And doing these bi-weekly check-ins allows me to see areas where I progressed, as well as maybe some areas where I need to do a little bit more work in. It allows me a point twice a month to make any pivots I need to make to my schedules or to my like short-term goals or things like that. These check-ins also allow me to stay on top of my budget, as I will look at my finances in 2-week increments as well. And because I suck at taking time to celebrate anything that I've done well, doing these small bi-weekly check-ins has really helped me to understand my strengths and celebrate myself a little bit more. In looking through my notes, my bi-weekly check-ins haven't been the most consistent, only at 57%. But again, this is still more than I was doing previously. I'm still able to celebrate the small victories. I'm still able to get out of my head a little bit. I highly recommend bi-weekly check-ins just so that the month doesn't get away from you, so you know where you are halfway through the month and you know where you are at the beginning of each month. Number 4 on my list was to connect more. I definitely struggled with this at the beginning of the year. I'm not a huge phone talker. I don't necessarily like to FaceTime, anything like that. But thanks to the pandemic, I didn't have a choice. Literally everything is virtual and online. And so now talking on the phone is not as anxiety ridden as it used to be. FaceTiming, video calls all feel chill. I know that sounds crazy because I'm literally talking to a camera, but it's so much different when you have control of the final product and how you're seen. Again, in looking at my notes, I wasn't super successful here, only at a 43%, and a good amount of that came from like other people reaching out to me, whether it be about health or, you know, just how I'm feeling in the current climate and the fight for social justice. But I appreciate everyone who has reached out to me, and I am still working on being better about doing it myself. If you're watching this video and I call you, just know that I put some thought into it before I reached out to you, and like that it's genuine and real. Last on my 2020 commitments is to share more. It may seem like I already share so much on social media already, whether it be YouTube or my Instagram, but I have so many different ideas in my head and things that I want to express and share that I don't, because I'm hypercritical of myself, and I committed to this year letting a lot of those feelings go. I want to be my own hype woman. I don't want to be afraid to shout myself out and share, and so that's part of why I made that a commitment for this year. I'm not necessarily tracking this in the same way that I can track the percentages for the other things, but I can share something right now, which is that I started a blog, which I told no one about until this video. I simply created an entire website, plopped it in my bio on Instagram, and figured whoever was curious or cared would see it. I'm officially letting y'all know that it exists, tarynallyssa.com. I will still continue to post on Instagram and YouTube, but I'll also be sharing just some of my thoughts around fashion, psychology, and social justice, and a lot more about me and kind of how I came to be where I am right now. So if that's interesting to you, please feel free to check it out. I'll link it down below. While 2020 so far hasn't been exactly what I imagined it would be in terms of my travel and adventures that I plan to go on, it has been a tremendous period of growth and introspection for me. I've appreciated and feel blessed to have had time to really focus on myself and think about what my goals are and who I want to be in this world. While I want to acknowledge all the struggles that we as a society, a global community, are going through, I would also be remiss not to acknowledge the blessings that this time has brought me as well, and the clarity and the vision that I've gained from this time. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more of my content. If you want to keep up with me on the day-to-day, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at tarynallyssa. Note, we are no longer T-Bear02. Moment of silence for her. And if you want to learn more about me, you can check out my very first blog post where I talk about my life in terms of pineapples. Sounds weird, but it'll make sense once you read it. All right, I'll catch y'all in the next video. Bye-bye.